everybody. We're back to another edition of the show. It is May the 4th, 2021. I'm joined once again by Kyle Klingman. Kyle had a bang weekend over at Senior Nationals and Junior World Team Trials in Coralville, Iowa. How'd you enjoy the weekend?
How could I not? I got to work with you for the first time side by side. We were competitors at one point, even though we liked each other. It was fun to be able to be on the same team.
It was. Had a good time, absolutely. I don't know, what sticks out from the weekend for you?
I would say for me it was Richie Figueroa, just what he was able to do at 57 kilos in the juniors. I think that there was some interesting senior competition, especially with some guys moving down to 92 kilos, and I think that fits in with our guest today. So those were a couple takeaways for me. I think Richie Figueroa really did make a statement after getting beat by Ayala in the Who's Number One event, and there he comes out and looks pretty good in the event. So that'd be my number one takeaway.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's get to our guest. I think he's all framed up, ready to go. He won 97 kilos this past weekend in the senior division. It's Austin Schafer joining us from Hillsborough, New Jersey. How you doing, Austin?
Not too bad. Feeling pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, maybe you feel good spiritually, but physically you're a little banged up, or at least sore.
Yeah, definitely so. I have a little bit of soreness. Like I was telling you guys earlier, we had Papa Reese let us have no rest, right back on the weights the next day.
Yeah, well, appreciate you coming on and chatting with us, and I want to learn a little bit more about you and your story, and I know you're from Oklahoma, Edmond, I think, is that right?
Yes, sir. Edmond, Oklahoma, born and raised.
Yeah, what's your background like with wrestling? How old were you when you got involved?
When I first got into wrestling, I think it was about 3 years old. My dad just started taking me to a couple tournaments and just would plop me out there on the mat. So that was my first little, get my toes wet into wrestling. And then I didn't really start practicing until I think about first grade. They brought me back to it.
So you literally you just got brought to a tournament at 3? Can hardly walk?
Yeah, I guess my dad was a big wrestling nut, and he heard there was a tournament there, and Mom was gone for the weekend, so he just brought me out, I guess. Popped me on the mat. I didn't know what was going on.
What do you remember about your first tournament at 3 years old?
I remember feeling very awkward in the weigh-in rooms. My dad telling me, get in your underwear, step on the scale. And I'm just looking around at these random old people, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's the only thing I remember, being uncomfortable at weigh-ins. That's it.
Yeah, that doesn't go away.
No.
So you get into it in first grade. Was it your choice, or did your dad bring you back into it?
At that point, it was my choice. I wanted to do it at that point, and they brought me onto a great club team, Edmond Generals, which evolved into OWA now. So I started off with Hardell Moore there. And so I had a great coach starting off and a pretty damn good base, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, no, Hardell is one of the best out there. And a lot of kids grow up and they're at just random dads or moms or whoever coaching out there. And to get a great elite guy like that from a young age is definitely advantageous. As your career goes along, going from a little kid into I don't know, adolescent, junior high, and high school, how did it evolve from how serious you were taking it and how much it meant to you?
It really has been an interesting path for me with wrestling. It's always been a pretty damn big part of my life. It's kind of, I know a lot of wrestlers, it's really their identity that they're always known as so-and-so the wrestler. And, that's always been the same case for me, but it was always something that I just did for fun. It was just what I did. It wasn't really until I feel like later on in my career, maybe towards the tail end of college, that I started to really get, I guess I would say, deeper into it and more committed to it. I really figured things clicked up top for me, and that's when I started to excel at the sport. That's when I started to get real serious. Before then, it was just, I'm Austin Schafer, the wrestler. Wrestling is what I do. And at a certain point, it's all clicked. And that was probably junior, senior year of college.
That's crazy. Why do you think it took so long?
I think for me, in the room, I mean, growing up, and now I commit myself to a different level now, but growing up, I was the space cadet ADD kid, so I was always off in the corner, not paying attention, running around, so I was the last one to get the coach's attention over there. So I just kind of did my own thing, wasn't paying attention the best I should, wasn't the most committed out of everyone on my team. I did work hard. Granted, I will say that I did work hard, but, I wasn't as focused as everyone else. And it wasn't until I started to see some success and I kind of recommitted myself and thought to myself, what am I doing this for? And thought that through, that I started to see some breakthroughs.
Sure. Well, if you like really had that switch or deep passion or whatever later in college, you had to have had some success before that because people who don't have success typically don't go to wrestling college and most likely aren't going to Oklahoma State. So, what was your success like growing up and in through college, and maybe the reasons you decided to wrestle in college? Slowing down here. All right. So it looks like we're losing losing Austin Schafer for the moment. Kyle, when do you remember Austin kind of showing up on your radar? Now we got a voiceless Kyle Klingman. Kyle, can you hear me? Thumbs up. All right. Well, it looks like we're gonna lose Kyle Klingman for just a second. So if he can call back, Kyle, if you can call back in, we're gonna get you rebooted. We're gonna get everybody kind of rebooted here, and hopefully we'll get Austin called back in, and we'll be able to talk to him. But he had a great weekend. As we said, he won senior nationals at 97 kilos. This wasn't the first time either. I believe it was 2018. He went out and won the U.S. Open. Interesting to hear that a guy like that didn't really maybe hit his stride. And can you hear me, Kyle? I mean, Austin?
Yep, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, cool. We got you back. When I guess I don't know if you heard the question or not, but what was your success like growing up, or maybe in through college, and the reasons you decided to continue on into college?
Well, with that, I just say, like I was saying before we cut out, that wrestling's always kind of been a part of who I am. I've always just been a wrestler. It's what I've done. It's been my sport, my thing. Um, and, and I was always pretty decent at it. I was always pushing me forward.
All right, we're struggling with Austin again. I don't know. Hopefully, we can get this one back on the rails, but it sounds like it's going to be tricky. I know he's out there probably not connected to Wi-Fi, which does make it a little tricky sometimes. Kyle, if we got you back, let's talk. When do you first remember kind of Austin showing up on your radar?
In college, I didn't know much about him past that. And I think when you look at his story and where he came from, it's kind of the reason why wasn't stellar in high school, but I remember him at Oklahoma State and him making a mark and was always impressed with that. And I just was always kind of impressed that he kept going afterward, just that he kept doing these things. And he alluded to it when we were talking beforehand that this maybe wasn't the rock stars of 97 kilos, but he's got a tournament win. He keeps building. I like what he's doing. I like his personality. Even being in there with the interview room, I just like him. I like the presence he has. So I like it when good people keep going in the sport, and I hope he keeps going for quite a while.
Yeah. All right.
Overall solid guy. Like that Schafer.
He is a solid guy.
He's great.
He is
great.
a solid guy. He loves plants too. We'll find out if he really does.
Yeah, I think that was a myth. I mean, he doesn't hate plants, but I'm not sure they love them. Okay, let's go. Take 3 here. What were your high school finishes?
Surprisingly enough, my only high school finish at States, I got third once my senior year.
Okay.
That was it. And that's I think we have like 4 or 5 classes in Oklahoma. So I know some of my Jersey kids that I coach high school level kind of give me crap about that sometimes, but kept me hungry. Wasn't quite satisfied.
And those Jersey high school kids don't have two senior level national titles. So,
No,
what
they
do
do
you know?
not. No, they do not.
So when would you'd never placed at high school states going into your senior year? At that point, would you even thinking about college, or was it not until after you medaled as a senior?
I was thinking about it, but I wasn't thinking about it at the level that I ended up at. I had a lot of interest from JUCOs, D2 schools, and my number one was West Point. That was the only major interest I was getting from a Division One school was just West Point.
Wow. When did Oklahoma State come
So
on the
I was,
radar?
but huh?
When did Oklahoma State come on the radar? Did you approach them? Did somebody reach out to you?
I had approached them in high school, so I was like, maybe if I end up staying around home, on trying to walk onto the team or something, we'll just see what happens, what kind of offers I get, and then I end up, choosing West Point. I went there for a year. They have their prep school. It's a gray shirt program, and I know there's so many kids that work their asses off to get into that school that I was just a wrestler and I got in because of my athletics.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to give it a try. Was not for me. And at that point, we started contacting all the coaches we had talked to before, and we ended up reaching out to Coach Eric Guerrero,
Mm-hmm.
and he tells me, just hey, come out for summer classes. We'll pay for those. We'll see, if you're fit for the team. And came out there, and I started, doing a lot of winning in the room. Next thing you know, I had a spot in the team.
Was that shocking or surprising to you, given the
No,
history you had?
it was shocking that they gave me the opportunity to, but I'm the type of person, I know I'm going to work harder than people around me. um it gets to a certain point to where I might not be the best wrestler, but I got the most grit, that's for sure. I know when push comes to shove, I'm going to come out on top.
Sure.
So one way or another, I'd make something happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And you wrestled, I think, 97 for a little bit, and then eventually bumped up to heavyweight. And you're a 97 kilo guy. You're not a big, weren't a big heavyweight. How did that come about? And what was the biggest differences in wrestling heavy between, I guess, light heavy?
um it came about, and I was wrestling 97 for my entire career, like you just said, and honestly, I was cutting way too much weight. I felt like crud all the time. Um, I was always like in and out of the rankings here and there. Like I was okay at best. I was
Mm-hmm.
mediocre when I was 97 kilos because I had no energy. And so there came a point, I think it was my redshirt junior year, when I had an injury, and so I had to sit out for the rest of the season. It was maybe the last 3 months of the season. And I had been thinking about it because we had Austin Marsden at the time, multiple time All American, all around stud. He's out at North Dakota State right now doing a great job
Mm-hmm.
there. But, with him leaving, there was a vacancy at heavyweight for us, and I was tired of cutting weight. Figured I'd use the extra few months to gain the weight and just bump up.
Yeah. It seemed to work. What did you think you'd have success? Were you apprehensive? Was it easier because the guys
I
are
was a
slower?
little I was a little bit at first. I was a little apprehensive, but with wrestling, with guys like Marsden in the room every day, and then earlier on in my career having, Alan Gulagayev, and technically they were better than me, but strength, speed, positioning, I could wrestle with them, and if I figured, if I gain a little weight, I could sit in there with a hand fight with them too. So I went attack that, gain as much weight as could. Next thing you know, I'm sitting at 235, 240, pretty respectable light heavyweight,
Yeah.
and the speed didn't just help me against them. I was able, to beat them up pretty good because I was that much faster. I could change directions, a lot of lateral motion where they're just trying to, I guess, outmuscle me and just go forward and back. So it became a lot easier athletically at the heavyweight level.
What was your
And that's
relationship
why you
like with?
see a big trend.
What's that?
So that's why you see, a big trend of smaller heavyweights now.
Yeah.
Because, like, after me, Derek White, who, I grew up with, and then guys like Anthony Kazar from Penn State there, they're
Yeah.
seeing that it's a lot easier and a lot easier, just to be the smaller guy, but beat him on athleticism.
Yeah. What was your relationship like with John Smith and or Guerrero, or whatever coaches? And then how did that change or evolve as you went from, a walk on to a backup to a, hey, I'm in the lineup?
I've always had, a pretty good relationship with all our coaches there. I'd say throughout the process, Guerrero, he's the first one that brought me into the program, and he's kind of the one. He's a tough love kind of guy. He can be a little bit of a hard A, if you will.
Yeah.
But he had a reason to be hard on me sometimes. But I'd say as I was there, he was always, there to support me from the beginning, any way he could. And then as I became a starter and I started to do better and better, more success, it's not anything that's a fault to any of the coaches. Just that's how it is any program. You're going to put more attention to things that are producing for you. So as time went on, I started getting a lot more love from the coaches. But I have to say this, so even before I was a starter, before I was winning, Guerrero was the guy that my grade slipped. He made me stay at his house for a week with him.
Okay, so you had your best interest in mind. It wasn't just about the wrestling.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right. When did you start to think, well, why did things click? Because you said my last couple of years, it's when of college, you really started to develop a bigger passion. Things started to click. Like, what was it? Because you didn't have to cut weight? Was it something else?
Yeah, I think it's a mental game, the mental aspect of it. But I think that a lot of that happened because I wasn't having to cut weight. Because I'd go in there most every practice, and I just would feel like I'm going in there. How many layers of sweats do I need to wear? How many pounds am I going to end up losing? How many cups of water can I drink during this practice? You're just constantly fighting the scale.
Yeah.
Whereas once I was able to bump up, I'd go in the room and say, wait a second, like, how can I just get better at wrestling? How can I grow this, myself? What can I do better? What can I do different in these different positions? It wasn't just, how am I not going to feel like shit? How can I push through this practice and not die?
Yeah. I had a teammate of mine when we were both redshirting. He was a 97-pounder, and he just decided to go up to heavyweight. And it was out of Wilkes-Barre, and he won the damn tournament. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm just going to wrestle heavyweight the rest of my career. And I was like, so pissed. I was like, God, it's, you got it made. It's got to be such a different, almost relief, right?
It is. It is pretty big relief. Not going to lie, not having to cut that weight anymore. But the one thing, though, that is tougher, and all my smaller teammates, hate me saying this, and my high school athletes now hate hearing me say this, but gaining weight at that level, see me 97-kilo guy now, I'm pretty scrawny. I think my buddy CJ Brucky here would have to agree with me.
What's up, boys?
What's up, CJ?
Pretty scrawny.
How we doing?
We're fantastic. How are you?
Fantastic. Schafer giving you a good little interview or what?
Schafer's doing great. Hey, what happened to your sleeves? Somebody take your sleeves off your
Whatever
shirt?
my sleeves? Come on now. You know I'm not a big shirt guy.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You look great.
We call him the most interesting man in the world.
He is, and I want to get into some of that. You're just an interesting guy, Schafer. You have a different way about you. I was doing your semifinal, calling it, and there was like a timeout, and you're just like looking around, smiling. You said something to the ref. You said something to, I don't know who. You looked and you said something to me, and you're just like talking to everybody. Like, most guys are just like in the zone. They're talking business. They're all thinking about wrestling. Even I'll say this: one of our marketing guys, our social media guy, was in the back before your finals, and you're sprinting back and forth. And I think you had I forget the whole story, but it's like you were like just whistling, and it's like, I'm so fast, woohoo! Look at me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. I love just like doing outrageous stuff, and like even if it makes them uncomfortable, it makes me laugh. So I think I'm hilarious, and it's okay if they think I'm weird. because we're sitting back there and like I'm just sprinting back and forth. I feel like weird. It's only me and him, so next time I go by, I'm like, this guy's gonna think I'm so weird, but I'm gonna die. And I just go super fast. Just started sprinting by with like my hands down, and that's what it's all about for me. It's like, you know, especially even in matches, you're talking about how I was, you know, all look to the cameras, be talking, you know, goofing off, because, dude, you've done so much hard work, and you sat there and grinded it out every day in practice and put such a heavy toll on yourself that when it comes to a match, there's not a lot more you can do. You've set the slate for yourself. You've done all the hard work. Now it's time to just relax, enjoy it, and, you know, put your training into practice.
Has it always been like that for you? Were you ever, you know, I don't want to say most, but maybe, but a lot, and maybe most people, like, I don't know if tense up's the right word, but they take it very seriously, and you know, I was the same way, and I think most people are, and they're, you know, you just got to get focused and stay focused and don't let anything rattle you, and just stay ready. Like, were you ever that guy, or have you always been this goofball?
No, I used to be that guy 100%, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. For everyone, I guess, you know, what works and clicks for them is different, but that's kind of what has clicked for me. It's just I take that pressure off myself in the match, and it just makes things a lot easier. You know, you can wear yourself out mentally, and I used to do that a lot. I used to be the big warrior before matches, almost hyperventilating back in high school, sitting there huffing and puffing, you know, marching back and forth. And, you know, it came to me one day, it's like, you know what, I'm sitting there, I'm wearing myself out before the match even starts, sitting there worrying about this and that. It's like, anything that I can think right now isn't going to change the outcome of this match. Me being stressed out about it and worried about it is not going to change the outcome of this match. All the repetitions I've done, the thousands of high crotches, thousands of outside singles, thousands of times, you know, they've thrown wizard and I know how to finish. That's what's going to happen. It's the muscle memory that I don't even think about. It's second nature now, you know? So once I figured that out, that's when things clicked for me. That wrestling can be a lot easier than you make it. You know, you put all this stress and pressure on yourself.
When and how did you realize that? Was it a match you lost because you were too nervous or hyperventilated or got yourself too worked up, or was it just something that over time you just realized?
I think it equates to, you know, like I said, bumping up to heavyweight. When I took that pressure off myself from cutting the weight, I saw, you know, the mental toll that had on me, and I started kind of looking at all aspects of my wrestling. I was like, you know, if I'm wearing myself out every day in practice before it even starts, just talking about cutting weight, you know, what other places I'm putting my, you know, my effort into where it's a waste of energy. And I was like, I'm the worst about that in match. I'm sitting there pacing, jumping up and down, to blare, you know, my crazy hype up music. You just wear yourself out mentally, same as if, you know, you're on bottom, you're getting ridden out the whole period. You're not using a lot of energy, but that takes a mental toll on yourself. Like, how can I take those elements out of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, just have fun. Enjoy it. It's why we do it. It's a sport at the end of the day. We do this for fun.
So you didn't, you know, you placed once in high school, but considering the Division I landscape, that's not that great. But you went on to Oklahoma State, and how about the next step, right? Was it not till the end of college that you decided to stick around and wrestle on the senior level, or how did that come about?
Yeah, that's about it. You know, like, once again, you know, coming up, like I was saying, once again, you know, coming up short, keep me hungry. Like I said, you know, I got third place. I was right there, and I was, you know, number one kid in state in high school, and I fell short going into college that senior year. I was the 5 seasonals when I was like 29-1 that year. I was on a tear, and I shattered my foot. So I broke a few bones in my foot, and I could barely compete. And, you know, being right there, finally making my moment and have it right in front of me, not being able to grab it, it kind of kept that hunger alive for me. And I was like, you know, I can't be done. Not on that note. I got to keep going. And, you know, I just continue to have successes that have pushed me. And at that point, you know, I said, went to Coach Smith, I'm like, hey, like, I want to stick around and keep wrestling. You know, I see a lot of potential for myself in this. You know, I have a better feel for freestyle anyways. And, you know, at that time, they're dealing with a lot recruiting wise. And, he's like, okay, I'll get back to you whenever I have time. In the meantime, I'm not going to sit around and wait the whole time. So I started reaching out, seeing, what my other opportunities were where I compete next. And I saw, hey, I'm qualified for senior Greco nationals or the trials. Did I ever wrestle Greco? Nope, but opportunity to compete. So let's take it. And me being 6'4", surprise, surprise, I had Sam Hazewinkle train me all summer. So that was an interesting combo right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Were you confident you'd be able to have success on the senior level?
Yeah, I knew the progression I was making, from folk style aspects. Greco, I wasn't too sure about it, but it was just an opportunity to compete and get on the mat, and do more. So I just, took it. That's how I've always been. Throughout college, during the off season, me and my dad were flying out to, different Northeast regionals, things like that. Anything that had a senior level to it or my age group, me and my dad were flying to on off weekends. So I was always trying to find an opportunity to compete, and that's always, how I've been. Anyone, anytime, anywhere.
Sure.
Like, let's just throw on the boots and scrap.
Yeah.
So did that thing. Coach Cole and those guys out at Cornell saw me, liked what I was doing, and picked me up from there. And story goes on. Did a little bit of winning after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Where all have you trained? Because I know you trained at a number of places since college. But can you give us the rundown?
Yeah. Well, officially, I'm from Edmond, Oklahoma, and that's where Sam Hazewinkle was at. So that summer right after college, I was there, my hometown of Edmond, with Sam Hazewinkle there at UCO. And then I got picked up by there for about 2 years. And then after I won the Open, I went back, got that back into me, that over with, decided that Cornell was the better fit, needed to go back there. And that's when I started having my injuries. And from there, went to Jersey.
On the move. It's tough. Both in his career. Here we go.
What was that?
Oh, we're just breaking up a little bit as you move around. Sometimes, the signals get in and out. But can you hear me clean? We're having a little bit of difficulty. And I think we may have lost him once again. Try. Fingers crossed. Yeah, it's slowing down. This is just the risky run sometimes. So it's cutting in and out. We're hopefully it'll cut back in. I do want to got a few more things I want to talk to him about. There's actually a clip. Let's say, Tyler, if we can roll this clip from Senior Nationals, if it's possible. So this was in the finals against Rotor, and it's just a short clip. But man, they went we're right straight through the clock, and then let's take a look. Oh, just wait and listen. Obviously, I got to take care of the clocks.
Done.
Look at this stuff. Don't worry about that. Yeah, so I told him, I had my head down. I didn't know the table was there. We're just vibing. Keep doing cool stuff. Cool stuff.
That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It's like,
Hey.
we're just vibing, man. It's all good.
Yeah. Reese is like, wait, focus up. I'm like, nah, we're just having a good time, man. We're vibing. Just having fun with the guys.
Yeah.
He's over there just like all stressed out and worried. And I'm like, we're good. We got this.
That laid back kind of vibing or whatever you want to call it, attitude that you have, does that ever, like that's a perfect example. Reese is like, stressed out or whatever you want to call a coach, right? Who's just like I said, they're into the moment and they're focused. Does that happen to other coaches where they're just like, dude, you're too loose? But obviously it works for
Oh
different
yeah.
people.
Oh yeah. There's definitely, as we know, definitely a lot of different approaches to wrestling, whether it be technically or mindset. And I definitely had a few coaches that, I'll be out there, some guy will about to get a turn on me, and I'll be sitting there smiling like this guy really thinks he can turn me. He's, I'll come back and I'll have some of my coaches will sit there like, what are you doing laughing about that? You gotta be ready, to punch him in the face, gotta get hard. And I'm sitting there, I don't know, it's just not me. There are moments for that, when you gotta push comes to shove, when you gotta get tough in the middle of matches, but hey, things are going my way. I'm gonna have fun with it.
Sure. All right, another story I heard. I hope this one's true. At America's Cup, which was, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, I guess. Something happened to your tooth?
Yeah, he had a little something happen to the tooth. You got old Hayden Zilmer there, the hardest hand fighting guy probably in the U.S. Hate wrestling that guy. He's just a little power tank. I don't even know what to call him. He's just a goer through and through. And so he's one that he's always going to hand fight you hard, strong head position. He's got a strong Greco background, so he's coming with that head for you. And this is my first time back since 2.5 years of injury being out. So let's say the shape it wasn't all there yet. We'll just put it that way. It wasn't all there yet. And guy's wearing on me. He's digging head position. Next thing you know, get a chop to the old jaw there and start spitting out chiclets. There, a little piece of my tooth. I like spit it out and I see like 3 or 4 pieces of my tooth there.
And so, what happened to the tooth after the match? The pieces of the tooth.
I did. I got a hold of it and I had the thought. It sounded funny in theory, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, no, this is just weird. It's just weird. It sounds funny though. I had the tooth. I walked up to, I forget who it was. I said, yeah, I think I'm gonna go find Zilmer, give it to him. It's his trophy, his bounty, if you will.
Did you find him?
No. Before I had the sense to go do that, I had better sense to just throw it in the trash. I was like, you know what? I do out there wacky stuff, but I think this one might be a bit too odd for me.
Can you think of some of the wackiest things you've done, or would that be it? Even though you didn't actually give him the tooth.
That one I'd say was pretty wacky. I don't know. I feel like matches and stuff, I'm always going up talking to the camera, trying to put on a show. You got all these people watching there. They're paying to watch FloWrestling. Got to put on a show for the people.
Yeah.
Enjoy it a little bit.
You're definitely entertaining. To the senior nationals, you came, you won, you had a solid performance. How'd you feel about your weekend, aside from just winning your matches, right? But the performance that you displayed, how do you assess that?
Like we were talking about earlier, I do realize it was a bit more of, an empty bracket. You had some guys, some of the better guys dropping down to 92 kilos and everything. But granted, it felt good going out there. It's still the U.S. Open. It doesn't matter, what the brackets look like. So it's a good accomplishment. It's a great accomplishment to have. And my plaque at home, it was getting a little lonely. I told him I'd bring him home a little brother to keep him company, only if he behaved. And clearly, he behaved very well. But, it just felt good getting on top again, coming away with some hardware after being out so long and it really being, a long path back. With, like I keep saying, not even think I was going to ever wrestle again. So it feels good. So overall, it's a good feeling.
Austin, let's talk about the wackiness and maybe the ultimate villain in wrestling, who's from Edmond. When do you remember meeting Johnny Hendricks for the first time?
Old Johnny Hendricks. I think the first time I met Johnny Hendricks was at Oklahoma State camps when I was a kid. He was one of the camp counselors. And I remember they were, they have individual duels at the end of the days of those camps, where they have everyone gets, kitted a certain weight, and you duel off against different counselors' teams. And I remember them all kept trying to, trade kids and get, the best teams together. And I kept getting traded away. I wasn't the belle of the ball quite yet.
Oh, that's great. Hey, so you said you mentioned injuries and a 2.5 year layoff. Kind of walk me through that. What were the injuries? And yeah, how was the comebacks and the recoveries?
Well, that one was an interesting story. So you all saw, won the U.S. Open back in 2018. Was on a high there, beat up some pretty good guys. And then after that, made the world team. I think maybe I cut out again.
I got you.
Yeah, I did.
For now. You not got me?
Refreshing.
All right, let's keep it rolling.
Get back into it.
There we go.
Gotcha. See your thumb. He's going to refresh that one more time. So he might not have seen us. This thing's flying off the rails. But we're going to try to keep it going. We'll get him back one more time and see if we can't hear about these injuries. And if not, then that's just that. I understand. Stuff happens.
Hey, we're back.
We're back. Kinda.
Kinda.
I don't know, Austin. We're having a tough time here in the back roads in New Jersey.
Too choppy.
It's a little choppy. I don't know if this
Too
one's
choppy.
I don't know if this one's gonna work. That's too bad. So I was just ready to hear about his injuries, and it sounded like he had a good story. Maybe at some point we could connect with him later on, but I just don't know that this one's gonna survive. And it happens. That's what you do when you're dealing with live video. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail.
I know.
So
and
Kyle.
yeah, Mark, I was interested because of his personality and what we saw there. I wanted to get his best John Smith story. So I was hoping we would be able to get to that too. So a lot of things I wanted to dive into, but connections are patchy, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be good enough, and I think we're going to have to cut this one a little bit short. But an interesting and entertaining guest, no doubt. And who knows, maybe we can get him back on this week if we have we can schedule a time when he's actually at home on Wi-Fi and things are working better, because I think that's just going to do it. We see him, but I don't hear him, so I don't know if this one's going to work. Tyler? All right, let's give it one more shot. One more try. If it cuts out, then we're just going to have to call it quits. We're going to pull you back on the screen in just a moment. Our super producer Tyler's back there working on it. All right, can you hear me? Take 4, 5, 6?
Yep, I got you.
All right, if it drops, we're just going to we'll just cut it and pick back up another time. But back to the injuries. Take it away.
Okay, yeah, so like I was saying, injuries. I won the Open, had a pretty good little showing there, beat some pretty decent cats. Went straight to the World Team Trials Finals, where I ended up having a rematch against Kyvan. Tight match, coming down to the last minute, maybe 40 seconds. He's on single leg. I got the whizzer. Knee rips out to the side. Toward my, I think it was MCL. Nothing too crazy. Heal up. That's when I was moving over to OU. Started training there. I was in my knee brace, and that was right when Heflin was injured. So it was, a good I was coming back. Month goes by. Then we head out to San Diego for the national team camp out at the Camp Pendleton there.
Sure.
That's when one day in practice, I can't remember who I'm practicing with, but they have my leg up in the air. Next thing you know, they do a little shimmy shake move, pull my foot up. The outside of my foot comes up, touches this side of my head, completely tear my ACL, MCL, LCL, anything with a CL in it, I broke it. And so, next thing I know, I'm sitting there screaming my head off, calling Dave Foxton, like, I need a, flight back home tomorrow. everyone's thinking, it's nothing too bad, because the next day I try to hide it quite a bit. I wore, kind of joggers so you wouldn't see my knees so swollen. I'm out of the beach with, I think it was maybe Robert Howard and some guys the next day, and get home, everything's torn. I had to be in the lockout brace for, I think, a month and a half, surgery, another 3 months. And honestly, it wasn't until probably, I think, this fall that, everything felt back to normal, that I felt like I was ready to go again.
Wow.
Yeah. It got to the point that I never thought I was going to wrestle again. Those guys. So I came down, helped him out with his club, while I was trying to just figure out what I was going to do next. In that meantime, I started coaching at St. Joe's Montvale, and I got hooked with Ricky Delegata, who he quite a few U.S. Open titles himself and a few accolades that, he can brag about. But he's the one that's really pushed me. You know, I work in sales for him now, and he's really started to push me as a competitor. He's been, a life mentor as well as, a wrestling coach. He's, he saw me wrestling every day in the room with all these kids, and he goes, "Does your knee hurt you at all? I never see you hobble or anything like that." I'm like, "No, it feels fine with them, but it's a high school kid." So that's when he started calling up RTCs for me, bringing me out there. He's like, "Let's test it out a little bit," doing more and more. And strangely enough, no pain, no pain. Let's go. Just jumps right back into training. He hit up the guys at NJRTC. We just show up at the practice one day, and they welcomed me with open arms. They're just like, "Here, you got a home here. Come every day."
And that was
Really
that.
accept me in. Yeah, it literally was that easy. It was my boss was like, "You can wrestle again." I was like, "Let's see." And we're like, "Okay, I can." And Reese, we're coming to practice, and he just said, "Okay." That was it.
How long ago was that you showed up at the NJRTC?
Well, first off, it was around Thanksgiving time-ish that I started, getting ready to go again. I started training. I didn't think I was going to compete, but we started testing things out. I drove up to Cornell for a week, and then, trained with those guys a little bit. Did that twice when I landed with them, and then around Christmas time that we decided, hey, let's find consistent RTC. Let's see about this. And I just showed up. I think that was around Christmas. No, maybe a little bit right after, because it was right after America's Cup that I started going, or right at America's Cup that I started going to NJRTC.
Wow. And then right back in
So
it.
it really has been, yeah, so I've literally just jumped back in it. Not even, a full 6 months yet.
Yeah. How'd you feel? Were you shape-wise? Was everything there where it needed to be this weekend?
It's getting there for sure. If anyone that's been following me, watching, my path as a competitor now, they'll be able to tell you that it started out pretty rough. Last chance, America's Cup. I lost 1-point matches to guys strictly because I was out of shape. I was dog tired and just out of it. I couldn't even shoot shots at the end of the matches. So we're making some progress. Obviously, you don't just do this just to wrestle. You have some goals in mind, and I have some goals myself. So to get there, it's not quite where it needs to be, but it's a market improvement. Considering the timeline, I'm at a good spot right now.
Nice. What are those goals?
Well, obviously, we just got number 2 of the U.S. Open titles. My boss, Ricky Delegata, I know he's got at least 3+. So one of the goals, I got to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
I got to beat his record. Can't have
Yeah.
him holding that over me forever. And then secondly, I want to make a team. Isn't that why we all do it?
Yeah.
I want to go out there. I want to represent the U.S. on the world stage. I've never been anybody's pick to do that, but I'm a bet on me, and I think I have pretty good odds.
I like it. I like it, man. Um, and we're winding down here. I got a little game we like to play with people, and this will be an interesting one with you. Okay, it's called Wins and Whoopings. So, looking back over the course of your career from the 3 years old, maybe first grade, whatever, till the last match you just wrestled, is there one win that stands out as a good or your favorite or most memorable or your best, or for whatever reason it's like, man, this is a win that means a lot to me, for any reason. And then the opposite, a loss where you just like got your ass kicked so bad that you just came off the mat like, what just happened? So can you think back over the course of your career and think of one of each, and you can answer either one first?
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I'll have to think about the whoopings one. Usually block those things out back there. But I know on the win side, there's definitely one. I have to say my senior year of college, Oklahoma State versus Iowa duel at heavyweight, Sam Stoll, Gallagher Iba Arena. Because that was, first off, my last time ever wrestling in Gallagher Iba Arena. OSU, Iowa, packed gym, tight. You had, what was it, number 6 versus number 4, something to that extent. Top 10 matchup against a guy that, once again, most people were betting against me. So that one it was an awesome win to get just because of the rivalry there, how much we hated Iowa, how much they hated us, and just the liveliness of it and the fashion it happened. It was the last, I think, 30 seconds of the match. This big behemoth of a man, Sam Stoll, he's all of heavyweight.
Yeah.
Finished the match with just a blast double leg running through him straight to his back and then riding him out for the win. That was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I bet.
They get rowdy in Gallagher.
There have been some good ones. Can you think of one on the flip side?
Oh, on the flip side, there have definitely been quite a few whoopings. I have to think. There's a couple of them. One probably would be during my redshirt year of college. This was the last time I can ever remember getting teched or pinned. It was Jaden Cox. I wasn't very good at wrestling yet, to be completely honest. And I'm wrestling him in the first round of the tournament, and I was just like a helpless animal. He would just take me down at will, take down, cut, turning me left and right. I think he teched me in the second period. The only points I had were escapes. So that was a pretty embarrassing one. It scarred me a bit.
Yeah.
That was definitely the last time I let something like that happen. Another one would have to be, I think, sophomore year of college. Like I said, me and my dad went to any tournament we could, anywhere. If I was qualified for age level, we were wrestling in it. We were going. And we're out at Northeast Regionals. I have Dustin Kilgore first match. I think this was the year after he won nationals or 2 years after. He was a force on the senior level at that point, for sure. I went out there feeling froggy, real good, ready to leap, go out there, snag a single leg, get a takedown, and I'm as shocked as he is. I'm sitting there like, oh shit, like, did that really happen? We got it. I'm in this match. Get up on the feet, boom, the guy just blows straight through me, gets on top, and he starts fish hooking me.
Oh no.
He fish hooks me straight to my back and just sticks me, and that was probably the biggest ass whooping that I have gotten in a long time. He just physically manhandled me, big brothered me, if you will. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty embarrassing one. That was a whooping.
And the fish hook,
Definitely so.
like adding insult to injury.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's wild, man. Cool. Well, Austin, we appreciate your time. I know you probably landed wherever you are getting back to, so we're gonna let you get on. Just anything before you leave, any parting words for us from you.
Thanks for having me on. Glad to be back in the saddle. You keep it classy, Mark Bader. Keep it classy, my friend.
We'll do our best, man. Thanks so much, Austin. Have a great day.
Hey, Bader, don't act surprised. We do this at the NJRTC. You can walk right in and do some damn things. That's what we do.
CJ lost his shirt since the interview started.
Shirt out here?
Hey, I just got
It's Jersey.
got a little too excited. You know, Jersey, sun's out, guns out.
It's Jersey, baby.
We got the guns popping and the titles too.
Jeez, you guys are the best. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
Love you,
Thank
boys.
Thanks, for
All
having
right,
me
thanks,
on.
fellas. See ya. Always lively out there in New Jersey, Kyle.
I'll tell you what, the moment I knew that he was different, especially in that interview, is because most people, they can remember the losses and not the wins. He was the opposite of that. He could remember the wins, not the losses. So I think we realized how different he really is.
Yeah. Marches to the Beaver's home jump for sure, and really interesting and fun guy in the wrestling community. Hopefully, we chat with him again when, like I said, once we have a more stable connection and we can have a little more broadened discussion. But that's going to do it for today. We appreciate you all tuning in. We're going to be here tomorrow, I think, with Keegan O'Toole. So we'll see you then, same time as always. For Kyle Klingman, I'm Mark Bader. Thanks so much.